Hey guys, welcome back. It's me, Sal Mahajan, and in today's video, we are going to have a quiz which will cover the topics that we covered in the previous 5 videos. We do have 9 questions for this quiz. This quiz is going to help you to further make sure that you guys have understood the topics in the previous 5 videos and how our questions going to be asked on the examination. So I'm going to read out each question and give you guys a couple of seconds to answer the question. If you guys do need some more time, you're more than free to pause the video before I move on to the answer and giving you a justification why this is the answer. So let's start with question number 1, which is which of the following best describes the benefit of elasticity in cloud computing? I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to answer that. Awesome. Now let's dive right into the question. So which of the following best describes the benefit of elasticity? We did learn that elasticity means that you can add resources, remove resources according to your demand and how much compute power do you need. So let's go through the 4 options and see which one relates most to this option. First is the ability to deploy services to multiple geographic regions around the world. Yes, you can deploy to multiple geographic locations, but this does not relate to elasticity. Second is the automatic adjustment of computing resources to match fluctuating demand. Now you do know this looks to be the correct answer. Why? Because one, we know that elasticity, you can automatically adjust your computing resources and it's normally done to match your fluctuating demand. Again, let's still go over C and D just to make sure that B is the correct answer. The option C is the system's built-in redundancy that protects against hardware failure. No, that's not elasticity. And the wide range of different services offered by a cloud provider. Again, that's not elasticity, which means answer B is the correct one. And as you guys can see, answer B is the correct one. Moving further to question 2, an organization wants complete control over its virtual machines, including the operating system and security patching. Which cloud service model is most suitable for this requirement? I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds and then we will answer this question. Awesome. Let's again go over the question. You have an organization which wants complete control. Remember, there is the keyword over here is complete control over its virtual machine. So the service that they are using are virtual machines and they want to have complete control over, that is even the operating system and also security patching. So which service model is the most suitable for this requirement? Let's go ahead with the model of deduction for this question. You have 4 options: function as a service, software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. We have, as of these 5 previous videos, we have only studied about the option B, C, and D. We have not studied about option A, that is function as a service. So we can go ahead and omit this, that this is not going to be the answer. Now, when they say virtual machines, that they want to be able to manage the operating system and security patches, that means that they don't want to manage the infrastructure, but they want to manage the virtual machine as a whole. We know that in software as a service, you really have zero control at all. So that's also complete out. And we know platform as a service also, virtual machines like, EC2 instances do not fall under platform as a service. And the final option that we have is infrastructure as a service, which is correct, wherein the infrastructure is maintained by AWS. So like your hypervisor, your hardware, and all sorts of things. And you control the operating system and the security patching for your virtual machine. So option D is correct. As you guys can see, option D is correct. Moving further, we have question 3. What is the primary function of an AWS edge location within the global infrastructure? So let's take a quick pause. Let's go over the question once again. What is the primary function of an AWS edge location? So the service in question is AWS edge location, and we are checking what is the primary function. So if you guys did watch my video, you do know that AWS edge locations are CDNs, that is content delivery network. So let's look at any option that relates to content delivery network. The first is to house multiple data centers with independent power and cooling. Nope, that does not relate to content delivery network. network, to cache content and reduce latency for end users by serving data from a closer location. Yes, this option does relate to content delivery network because edge locations cache your data close to your end users so you can reduce latency. Again, to confirm our answer, we will still go over C and D. To run an organization's primary applications and database securely, nope. That is not the purpose of edge location. And to act as a central point for a geographic area containing multiple availability zones. Again, nope. We do know that edge locations are in thousands and they're spread across the world, as we know. And so this relates that option B is the correct one, that is to cache content and reduce latency for end users by serving data from a closer location. And as you can see, option B is correct. Moving on, let's go to question 4. An organization that builds and manages its own data centers for its exclusive use is utilizing what type of environment? Let's give a couple of seconds so you guys can answer the question. Awesome. Let's go over the question again. An organization that builds and manages its own data center. So here in the question, own data center is one of our key words for its exclusive use, utilizing what type of environment. So we do know that there are primarily 3 types of cloud environments. You have the public cloud, you have the hybrid cloud, and you have the on-premise cloud. So we straight away know that from all of these 4 options, option C is not going to be the correct answer because it is not software as a service. This option is just given to mislead you while you are giving your exam. So we have A, B, and D. Now they said that the company owns the data centers and it is exclusive to them. In the only scenario where the company would own the data center and it's exclusive to them is when it is an on-prem type of deployment. So we know it's not public, we know it's not hybrid. So the only option left that we have is on-prem, which is option D, and that is the correct option. As you can see, option D is correct. Moving on to question 5. A key cost benefit of cloud computing is pay as you go. What does this concept mean? Let's give it a few seconds. Okay, let's dive. So they're asking about the key cost benefit of cloud computing is pay as you go. What does pay as you go just mean? So option A is a fixed monthly fee is paid regardless of resource consumption. No, we know pay as you go does not mean that you have a fixed fee. It is a variable fee. So this option is out. You are only billed for the computing resources that you actively use. Yes, pay as you go again means that you are only billed for computing resources that you use. Again, we will still go over option C and D just to confirm our answer. You must make large upfront investments to access these services. Again, no. Pay as you go. You don't need to make any upfront payments or have any fixed monthly fee. You receive a discount for purchasing hardware directly from the cloud provider. Again, nope, you do not receive any discount for purchasing hardware. You just pay. You are only billed for the computing resources that you actively use, which is option B, and that is our correct option. As you can see, option B is the right one. Moving on to question 6. What is the structural composition of an AWS regions? I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to go over the options and answer this. Cool. Let's go over the question again. What is the structural composition of an AWS region? Option A is a set of servers dedicated to a single organization within a data center. Again, nope, this is not. This is the this is more like a definition of on-prem or something like that. But nope, this is not the structural composition. A geographic location made up of minimum of 3 availability zones. Now this seems to be correct. The reason why we do know that AWS regions have a minimum of 3 availability zones. Again, let's go over option C and D just to validate or can confirm our answer. Option C, a collection of edge location used for content delivery. That's really not what is the composition of AWS regions. A single large data center in a specific geographic location. Again, AWS does not have a single data center in a geographic location. They have multiple data centers in a geographic location. So the only answer that we are left is with option B, a geographic location made up of a minimum of 3 availability zones. Moving, as you guys can see, option B is correct. Moving on to question 7. if a company decides to use a mixture of its own on-prem data centers and services from a public cloud provider like AWS, what type of cloud is it using? Let's give you guys a couple of seconds. Awesome. Let's go over the question once again. If the company decides to use a mixture of its own on-prem data center and services from a public cloud. So what are the organization doing? It's trying to use its on-prem data centers and also public cloud. So what type of cloud is it? We know that it is not going to be a private cloud because it is using a mixture. We also know that it is not going to be a public cloud because it is again using a mixture of both on-prem or private and public cloud. And then option C is community cloud. We have not learned or we have not read about community cloud, so you can straight ahead go ahead and omit this option, and you are just left with one option, which is option D, that is hybrid cloud, which is the correct answer. As you can see, option D is the correct answer. Moving on to question 8, which of the following is an example of a platform as a service, which is a PaaS offering? I'll give you guys a couple of seconds. Awesome. Let's go ahead. You have option A, which is an on-prem data center. That is not an example of a platform as a service. You have Google Drive. Now, Google Drive is a service provided, but it's not a PaaS service. It is a SaaS service, which is software as a service. Then you have virtual machines, which are EC2 instances. Again, these are not platform as a service. It is IaaS, that is infrastructure as a service. You're only left with one option, which is option D, that is AWS Elastic Beanstalk, and this is one of the services that one of the examples that I did provide you guys. So option D is the correct one. As you can see, option D is correct. Moving on to our last question for this quiz. What core characteristics of availability zones ensures their fault tolerance? Let's give a couple of seconds and let's dive right into the options. They are located in different geographic regions. Again, that is incorrect. Availability zones are part of a single region. They consist of discrete data centers with independent power, cooling, and networking. Now, if you guys have gone over my AWS when we spoke about regions, availability zones, and edge locations, we did specify that availability zones, each of the data centers in an availability zone have their own independent power, cooling, and networking. So this option B seems to be the correct answer. Let's go over option C and D. They share a single power source for efficiency. That is absolutely incorrect because we know that they have independent power sources. Each AZ contains a single very large data center. Again, we know that this answer is incorrect because an AZ can have 2 or more data centers. So we know that we're left out with one option, that is option B, that they consist of discrete data centers with independent power, cooling, and networking. And that is our correct option. So I hope you guys did like this video and you did get a good understanding related to the different concepts that we covered in the previous 5 videos. These were some 9 quick questions that help you further understand your learnings, and we will be doing quizzes like this after every week of content that we cover, so you guys have a good learning and you do remember stuff for the examination. And a couple of these questions may be asked on the exam, may not be asked on the exam, but this is really more to make sure that you guys have understood the concepts in the previous week. So I hope you guys did like this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, do subscribe, and do comment if there are any other topics out there that you guys would like me to cover. I hope you guys have a great day ahead. See ya, take care, bye bye.